Welcome to the Weekly Dose, where we're connecting the dots between your daily coffee, the stock market, and a massive Hollywood power play. Let's get right into it. Okay, just a quick heads up before we dive in. This is an AI-generated summary that's based on a really in-depth report from Augusta Global Insights. If you want to read the complete analysis, and I really recommend you do, the link to the full article is waiting for you in the description below. All right, let's kick things off with a fact that is pretty staggering. Get this. According to Gallup, Americans are drinking alcohol at the lowest level since 1939. And no, that's not a typo. We're talking about a massive cultural shift that's been nearly 100 years in the making, and the fallout from this is absolutely huge. So here's how we're going to break it all down today. We're going to look at the new consumer playbook, see how that's sparking some serious coffee wars, and then we'll take a quick pulse of the market before we get to the main event, a hostile takeover in Hollywood that, believe it or not, ties this all together. And of course, we'll wrap up with the key takeaways. So let's start with this huge change in how people are spending their money. This move away from old school stuff like beer, well, it's rewriting the rules for brands and for investors. It's a journey from beer to, well, betterment. And this isn't just some abstract trend. It has very real dollars and cents consequences. Just look at this number. That's a drop of over 32% year to date for the stock price of Constellation Brands, the company behind Corona and Modelo. It's a huge red flag, showing just how hard this consumer shift is hitting the big players. This brings us to a really classic piece of advice from Wall Street trader Peter Tuchman. The investment idea here is simple, but it's so powerful. The habits of the next generation. They basically decide who the market leaders of the future are going to be. What young people are into today, whether it's sneakers, apps, or drinks, that's what becomes mainstream tomorrow. Okay, so this is the billion-dollar question, right? If alcohol is on the way down, where is all that attention and all that cash going? What's the big new trend that's taking its place? Well, the answer might just be sitting in your morning mug. And that leads us perfectly into our next section, the coffee wars. The shift in habits has kicked off an insane battle in the coffee world where a scrappy challenger is actually taking on the undisputed king. Wow, this slide really tells the whole story, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the giant Starbucks with over 40,000 stores, but its stock is down almost 20% over the last 5 years. Then you've got this much smaller player, Dutch Bros, with less than 1,000 stores, but their stock, it has exploded by almost 170% in that same time frame. The numbers just don't lie. So what's really going on here? Well, the report suggests that as Starbucks kind of lost its way, maybe focusing less on that core coffee experience, it left the door wide open. And Dutch Bros, they kicked that door down, building a brand that just clicks with younger customers and pulling them away from the big guy. Now, these kinds of major shakeups don't just happen in a vacuum. So let's zoom out for a second and take the market's pulse. Because there's this feeling of anxiety in the air around interest rates, tech, and risk, and it sets the stage perfectly for our final story. So check this out. The Fed cut interest rates, which should be good news, right? But private banks, they're not playing along. They're keeping their rates high, around 6%, because they're worried about a potential black swan event. Some huge, unexpected crisis that could just rock the entire system. You can see that same anxiety with Rivian. They announced this amazing new chip, but their stock still drops. The market is just on edge. And that nervousness brings us to the main event, a crazy, high-stakes drama playing out in Hollywood. Seriously, this is more than just a business deal. It's a billion-dollar chess match involving money, power, and influence at the absolute highest levels. Let's just start with the number. $109 billion. That is the size of the all-cash, hostile bid that Paramount's guidance has thrown down to take over Warner Bros. Discovery. This is a super aggressive, no-holds-barred move to blow up a rival deal they had with Netflix. And this is where it gets totally cinematic. This is a real-life text message from David Ellison, the CEO of Paramount Skydance, to David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery, and he sent it right after he launched the hostile takeover. I mean, he's talking about the honor of being partners while he's literally trying to force buy his company. You can't make this stuff up. But wait, the plot gets even thicker. The Wall Street Journal dropped this bombshell. Larry Ellison called President Trump to complain about the rival Netflix deal. And right now you're probably asking, wait, who is Larry Ellison, and what on earth does he have to do with any of this? Well, this slide shows just how tangled this web really is. Larry Ellison, the founder of the tech giant Oracle, he's David Ellison's dad. Oracle is also a key partner in President Trump's massive AI venture. On top of that, Oracle handles all of TikTok's data in the US, and the same group, Oracle/Skydance, is a top bidder to buy TikTok's US business. Suddenly, a Hollywood deal is all mixed up in big tech, global politics, and family drama. Okay, so we've covered changing tastes, market jitters, and a political power play. What does it all mean when you put it together? Let's boil this whole thing down to the key takeaways. First, massive shifts in consumer taste are what create the giants of tomorrow. It's that simple. Second, disruption is just the new normal now. Smaller, more focused companies can and will outsmart the titans. And third, and this might be the biggest one, money, media, and power are all tangled up together. Huge billion-dollar deals are not just made in boardrooms anymore. They're shaped by phone calls and political connections behind the scenes. And that leaves us with one final, pretty heavy question to think about. In a world where a tech billionaire can just call up a president to try and influence a multi-billion-dollar media deal, who's actually in charge? Who really holds the power here? This was a short AI-generated summary of a written report by Augusta Global Insights. If you want to read the complete analysis, the full article is available in the description below. Thank you for watching the Weekly Dose. We'll be back with a new report every week.